It's a relatively small little house, about 1,300 square feet. So, and on a delicate and intimate site. So I wanted the structure to be one thing.
Cloepfil, founder of Allied Works Architecture, designed a guest house in Royal Dutchess County, New York, around a single structural conceit. A seemingly continuous Mobius strip of steel twists through the wooded site, while mahogany panels enclose a tightly edited series of living spaces.
I just thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if you could strike the most delicate line of the structure that would gather together some of that beautiful landscape and some of those trees to begin to define a kind of domain for a guest house. So you can see, it's a little hard because of the shadows, but there's the upper cantilever, and whenever the upper cantilever moves away, the floor cantilever moves the opposite direction, essentially. And that's the tension between those two pieces, with really, again, the general aspiration of being that kind of continual spiral. And then the building gets enclosed in the most simple way possible by those wood panels.
So once we came up with the solution of the structure actually stitching the site and the house together with the house then occupying bays of that open structure, the challenge became, how do we actually detail it in such a way that allows the frame to be exposed when the frame is steel on a site that has extreme hot and cold temperatures, and that steel will be running from the outside into the inside. So there was a very intense set of details that related to both flashing as well as locations where we actually found ways to thermally break the frame.
Noted collectors of contemporary art, the clients have displayed work by artists including Mel Buckner and Adam McEwen throughout the house. The play between the solid walls on which the work hangs, the windows open to the landscape, and the steel frame that ties house and forest together creates a series of distinct relationships to the site in each room. Visitors to the house arrive by crossing a concrete footbridge by conceptual artist Lawrence Weiner.
I mean, the vestibule was just strictly a functional concern of having a house in Dutchess County with dogs and mud and snow and wind and rain. So it's the back of the house, or the front, which is the back of the house, which leaves you in that other landscape. But it's really the landscape revealed when you walk into the living room and then down the hall and meander through the rest of the house.
So from the vestibule, it brings you to the primary living space of the house, which is the living room and dining area, with primarily glass walls to the north and to the east.
Walking down to the house, the lineal quality of the house screens off the creek, so that you don't really understand the relationship of the house to the creek, and so that it's the house that really introduces you to this beautiful creek that meanders below you. And in the kitchen, you have the opportunity to sit there in that little tiny counter, sort of breakfast counter, but to sit there where you're actually kind of hovering out over the creek almost.
So this is the guest bedroom, which is the kind of next volume from off the kitchen. The organization of the room is, a wall of storage, which is the white oak, the window wall, and then 2 sheetrock walls for art.
The master bedroom is my favorite place, absolutely my favorite place. Partly because of its position in the landscape where you look directly down the creek as it turns. There's also the adjacent landscape is a little more intimate and closed there than it is in the opposite end of the house in the living room. Everything out there becomes some kind of intense diorama or something. I don't know what a better word would be, but something like that. In moving through the house, starting with the living room, that you get the landscape kind of represented to you through the lens of the house is exciting because it's almost like a magnifying glass. It renders things. I mean, I suppose this is my fantasy too, and you have to tell me if it's true or not. But that the house almost renders things more clear or more crisp, or just by the framing of it and the kind of concentration of the relationships.